Hey guys,
Hello.
welcome back to Spooky Sleuths. Today we've got a spooky one for you.
We do. This week's episode is an adventure into the heart of Bellaire, Ohio. We explored the paranormal realms of the Ross House. So prepare yourself for a look at the supernatural that awaits at this historic location. I'm Sammy.
And I'm Nicole,
And we are Spooky
Sleuths. It was such a good time. Can't wait to tell you about it. Let's dive right in.
So the Ross House is, like I mentioned, located in Bellaire, Ohio, along the Ohio River. It was built in 1895, just off the train depot for the B&O Railroad. Back when the house was built, Bellaire was a booming town, which if you have ever been to Bellaire, you would not guess that it was a booming. Yeah. Wealthy people enjoyed the shops the town had to offer, and the working class enjoyed the jobs that were home to the town. Bellaire was actually named Glass City in the 1800s because there was a huge glass factory in the town. Many famous people even came to town, including Eleanor Roosevelt, Bob Hope, and Marilyn Monroe. Bellaire was even featured in The Silence of the Lambs, with footage of their toll bridge being used in the movie.
I didn't know that. That is
Yeah.
awesome.
The city was booming, and partially that was thanks to the coal mining industry.
That makes sense.
One coal mine I want to touch on was coal mine number 1, which was owned by a wealthy man named Jacob Hetherington. We won't talk too much about Jacob in this episode, but stay tuned for another Bellaire, Ohio haunting to hear more about him and his family. In March of 1893, a fire broke out in this coal mine. After trying to get the fire contained, the mine exploded. Many people died in this mine explosion.
That's awful.
It is. There was another coal mine explosion in Bellaire in March of 1940. This coal mine, Hannah Coal Company's number 10 mine, Willow Grove Mine, exploded and killed 72 men.
Coal mining is so dangerous.
And this isn't even mentioning the men that actually died doing just the job. These are just 2 disasters. The town is also home to the Mingo, Shawnee, and Delaware Native American tribes. They resided on the land for many, many years. The town is also where the French and Indian Wars took place back in the 1700s.
There's lots of history in this town.
There is. Needless to say, though, Bellaire is no stranger to death.
No, not at all.
There's a lot of energy concentrated in the area, which is just boosted by the fact that the town sits on a ley line.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So what are ley lines? I am glad that you asked.
That was my next question. I just hadn't gotten there.
Not everyone believes in ley lines, and that's okay. But for those of you who don't know what they are, they were first discovered in 1921 by an archaeologist named Alfred Watkins. He noticed that the ancient sites in Britain could be connected by perfectly straight lines. He called these ley lines. Today we know the lines to be invisible lines that cross all across the world. People who believe in ley lines believe that they contain a lot of spiritual energy. When the lines intersect, they believe this energy is very concentrated, producing more paranormal activity. They're also associated with aliens, but that's for a different day. But the Ross House and Bellaire itself sits on 2 lines that cross. So it's just believed that there's a lot of paranormal energy or spiritual energy in the town itself.
That's so cool. That's not something I was super familiar with.
Yeah.
But
the more you know.
But knowing the 2 places in Bellaire, that does not surprise me. And it makes me kind of think ley lines might have
something to do with it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the house itself. Having several different owners over the years since it was built, the most notable are Fred and Marie Gretros. They owned the home in the 1950s and used it not just as a private residence, but as a place to raise chinchillas.
Chinchillas are so cute.
They raised chinchillas for their fur and sold the fur
sweet.
for their income. Fred passed away in the home in 1975 from illness, and his wife Marie remained in the home until she passed away in 1990, also in the home. She was very sick and was coming down the stairs when she fell on the 5th step from the top. She managed to make her way down to the 1st floor landing, but it was there that she passed away. After the Gretros passed away, the house was hard to keep tenants. Many did not want to stay for long periods, and it continued to change hands. Charles Ross purchased the home and the store attached to it. He would rent the home out when he could and use the store side of the property for antiques that he had purchased. When he couldn't keep tenants, the home became a dumping ground for old, broken items that were purchased in auctions. In 2016, Charles' daughter Cindy took over the home. Cindy and her business partner decided to turn the house into an escape room. The house isn't very big, but it's big enough to have some fun. The 1st floor features a dining room, kitchen, bathroom, sitting room, and living room. Upstairs, there's another bathroom and 3 bedrooms. When Cindy took over the home, this is when the paranormal experiences began for her.
Probably because she was more open to it.
Right. And she was spending more time in there. She was working in the home, trying to fix it, turn it into an escape room.
Putting up fake walls. Like, yeah. Cindy's phenomenal.
She had noticed things here and there, but she just ignored it or brushed it off. One day, Cindy was doing some work on the register in the living room when she turned to grab her screwdriver, only to find that it had moved out of her reach. At that time, she heard someone coming from the store side down the stairs. She assumed it was her brother, but it wasn't him. She was terrified, but she continued on with her work to get her escape room ready. I mean, I think she left her at that point for the day, but she continued to come back. When she was ready to open, Cindy hired her nephew, who was in high school, and another high schooler to run the place while she worked her own job. Her nephew reported people getting scared by a ghost during the escape room, but they continued to operate. One day, while taking a picture of customers after their game, the door in the room started shaking while no one was touching it. Everyone, including the employees, ran out of the house. The poor boy even ran out of his shoes, and he would not go back and get them.
He would not go back inside.
He wouldn't. Eventually, the escape room moved to Cambridge, Ohio, and Cindy sold her part off. It was too hard to find people to work there. No one wanted to work in a haunted house. She would hire people, and they would just continue to quit. Today, Cindy opens the home to investigators. You can even investigate the store side, as many spirits attached to items still remain there. The cool thing about the store side is that the items are always changing, so you never know what spirits you're going to get.
I can't wait till we go back and we're able to investigate the store as well.
Me too. Many spirits are said to reside inside the Ross house. The first is Alfred. Where Alfred came from is unknown. What is known is that he does not like women. He also talks about his friend Henry, more specifically how he murdered Henry because he was sleeping with Alfred's girl. The other 2 most common spirits are Fred and Marie Gretros. Marie does not like the construction done to the home, and she is not afraid to voice her opinions. The basement is home to the spirits of Anna and 2 others, one being a tall man in the corner who won't give up his name. The last reported spirits are those of twin boys who may have grown up in the home and reverted back to their childhood happy place. The boys like to run down the hallway and peep around corners, and she has this electric ball thing, you know, the ones that you put your finger on and the electricity follows your finger when you move it. They like to play with that. And Nicole will put a picture of it here so you know what we're talking about. Yeah. The store is home to a revolving door of spirits just because of the types of items that are in there. But there is one stationary spirit called the Creeper. Ugh. An investigator drew a picture of him, and he looks like an alien with claws.
It was creepy.
He never tries to hurt anyone, but he just creeps.
Hence the name.
Yeah, he just likes to watch you. When Cindy began exploring her haunted home, she enlisted the help of a little older woman named Helen, who has a witchy history. She sounds amazing, and I want to meet her just from the way Cindy described her.
Absolutely.
She's fiery and spunky and very tiny. Anyway, she had given Cindy some dolls for the home. The first is Peggy, who is a child spirit and very friendly. The next two, I can't really remember their names, but they were good spirits. I think one might have been named Timothy, something like that.
Maybe, I can't remember.
But the last one is the one that Helen nicknamed B-word Gretchen. She is not allowed to play with the other spirits. She is a bad influence.
That'll be you whenever you want something.
Yeah. That'll be me as your daughter gets older.
She's not allowed to be around her yet, Sammy, after she turns like 12.
Now that we're all a little familiar with the house and those that reside there, let's talk about our investigation.
Yes.
We booked the Ross house on a spur of the moment thing.
Sammy needed a serotonin hit.
I was 3 hours away on a work trip, and the Ross house is about an hour and a half from our house. So I had like a 5-hour drive to get there. Normal check-in time was 5 p.m., but we didn't get there till 10 p.m.
Thanks again, Cindy, for accommodating us.
Yes, we didn't have the full time, so we only investigated the house. We're saving the store for another time. When we arrived to the Ross house, Cindy greeted us and gave us the history of the home and a tour. Cindy is one of my favorite people I've ever come across.
She's phenomenal.
She is. She's so credible. She will tell you if something is BS. For example, she has a Divic box in a case with, it's sitting next to B-word Gretchen.
And she's like, she doesn't believe in that crap. It's off of Amazon.
Yes, that crap ain't real. I loved it. So you can see she's very down to earth. She's not trying to hype up her house and say it's something it's not, which I appreciate as an investigator.
Yeah, there's even some things that she didn't tell us until you were telling her about our experience. And she's like, well, now that you mention it, this has also happened, but I didn't say anything because I wasn't there.
Yeah, or she said, I have no explanation, so I don't give anything credit. So she's a very good paranormal investigation host. She doesn't hype things up that aren't true. She was even so sweet that she told us now we are part of the family, and we took a picture to put up on her board that she has for people who have investigated the house. After our tour, we set up stationary cameras in Alfred's room and the 2 upstairs hallways. We decided to start our night in Alfred's room with flashlights, cat balls, and the REM pod. We were getting some very coincidental answers with the flashlights, with them turning on and off on command.
We even reset them at one point because it was almost too weird.
But it was so random that I don't know for sure if it was paranormal. Right. I mean, if we say turn the blue flashlight on and it turns it on, that's hard for me to explain away. But when we say turn the blue flashlight off and it doesn't turn it off for like 10 seconds after, that's a little bit harder for me to explain. But the cat ball on top of the case where the dolls are in that room, it kept activating.
That absolutely.
And we were all sitting still. There was no way we caused it to go off.
Yeah, like we were sitting on furniture. Like we weren't up walking around when they would go off or anything.
So we didn't shift our weight or anything like that. After a while in Alfred's room, we moved over to the dining room to try to talk to Marie. She is known for saying how much she hates the reconstruction, hates the fake wall there.
Yeah, why is that wall there?
So we wanted to just talk to her and see what she had to say. We used the Spirit Talker app and the Spirit Box and the REM pod. When we were still finishing setting up, the REM pod went off.
Yeah, like lights were still on.
Yeah, we weren't even recording at that point. Dave thought that maybe it was just the tablecloth underneath messing with the sensor, but we couldn't recreate it. And Dave kind of tries to just blow everything off, though. I think it's so he doesn't get scared.
Or just to make sure that we're credible. Yes, I mean,
that too. But after a while, the REM pod did go off again, and we couldn't figure any logical reason why it was going off. And we did catch that one on camera. So as we're sitting in the dining room table trying to get some answers from Marie,
Yeah.
I feel someone pull on my chair so much that I looked over to see if Dave had walked behind me and was like leaning on the chair. And he wasn't. He was still in his seat. There was nothing there. It did freak me out because it really just felt like someone was pulling my chair. And I didn't like that. But
You did not.
I did not.
We had to take a break.
I was a little bit scared. I won't lie. After we recollected ourselves, we decided to try to talk to Peggy. Peggy likes when people sing her nursery rhymes, so we laid out a stuffed ghost-shaped proximity meter and cat balls, hoping Peggy would react. I sang her some nursery rhymes, but I got no response. After trying to talk to Peggy, we did an Estes Method in the basement. Nothing made too much sense, and that basement is scary.
Yes, it is.
Have you ever seen the movie Barbarian? Think of that basement.
Like, as soon as we walked down there, that's exactly where my mind went. Like, this is the Barbarian basement. Somebody's going to come walking out of that.
We were waiting for Mama to come up. Like, no way. But it was getting late, and we needed to investigate upstairs. So we decided to go to the Western room and talk to the boys. The rooms are still a little bit themed from when it was an escape room.
Yeah, there's still remnants of the escape room.
That's how we identified it, and that's how Cindy identifies it as the Western room. On the SLS camera, Dave saw a figure sitting on top of a pile of blankets. He at first thought it was just reading the blankets because it's a kinetic sensor. He thought maybe it was trying to read the blankets as a person. And even though the figure was on top of the blankets, but then he saw that figure stand up.
Yeah, he's like, oh, he stood up. He stood up.
We were using the dowsing rods as well, and when I asked them to point to where they were at in the room, both rods pointed to the same corner that Dave saw the figure in. We tried to connect with anyone in the master bedroom, but nothing really happened, even with an Estes method.
Yeah, it was very quiet in there.
The cat ball sitting on a dress that was found in the basement did light up.
Yes.
We had one room left, which is where we decided to sleep for the night because it had 2 beds.
Yeah, they were not ditching me. This was also our first investigation with just 3 of us. It felt very strange.
It did.
Because we normally have our crew with us, and it was just us 3.
Our crew, we sound so official.
The fam, whatever.
The spirit in this room likes to overpower the humans and other spirits. He prefers to choke women.
Like when we walked into this room, Cindy's like, this room is known for choking. Like, oh, yeah, that's where we're going to sleep.
Yes. We tried the Estes method again, but I pretended to be asleep so we can maybe get the spirit to choke me. It didn't work, but we did get some counting like we did at Grand Midway. I was not a good counter though.
No.
But I'm still counting.
Still counts.
We wanted to try to talk to Alfred one more time at 3 a.m. Nicole did the Estes Method, and we think he came through a little bit because David asked, "Tell me about Henry." And Nicole immediately said, "I will hurt you." And it seems that he just shut down any communication after that. And I really think it might have been a stop talking about this or I will hurt you too.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to talk about this right now.
Yeah,
which is fine.
Whenever I was under there, I could feel a change in what was coming through to, like, I had like spine tingling and everything.
And
it was.
Did you feel chest pressure?
Yes. Yeah.
I saw you hold your chest.
Yeah, there was like some pressure. It was happening. It was weird. I've never felt like that under Estes.
Well, after we didn't get much more of a response, we decided to go to bed. We left our stationary cameras up all night though, but we really didn't catch anything on those.
No, just
not even dust.
Just our competing for snores.
Yeah, but we had a great night at the Ross house nonetheless. I wish we could have been there for the full time, but I'm glad we got to spend the time there that we did. Thank you so much to Cindy for getting us in there on such short notice. If you're looking for a good night, please visit here. You won't be disappointed. Between the actual Paranormal Activity and Cindy's hospitality.
Oh, Cindy was amazing. She gave us restaurant ideas. She gave us complimentary drinks. Like, it was such a good night, and she just made it for us. Had Cindy not been Cindy, I don't think it would have been as a good night.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even the next morning when I texted her about having my chair pulled, she's like, "Oh, that was probably Alfred." And then she told me a story that was similar, or that had to do with the chairs. But yeah, thanks for listening, guys. Make sure you comment and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you're listening there. If you're listening wherever you listen to podcasts, make sure you subscribe, follow, whatever.
Give us a rating on there.
Yes. Make sure you follow us over on TikTok and Instagram, where we post regularly.
At Spooky Sleuths Pod.
And follow us on YouTube as well. We're getting ready to start posting more regularly on there with videos outside of the podcast. So if you made it this far, drop
your favorite animal emoji, since there were chinchillas in this house.
Okay. Yeah, there we go. Make sure you smash that like button, guys.
God. And on that note, stay spooky, friends.